All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to Masterfully Integrated. I'm Amelie Schaefer. This is Janine Subak. Well, she's like over here on this side. We were just talking about that. We don't know. She's over here for me, but we are Systematic Excellence Consulting. We work with businesses to help them figure out what the next best step in their business is for growth. We help them build efficient and effective teams. And today we are going to talk about an important element to consider when you are getting ready or when you're in the discovery process with a prospective client, or if you are the prospective client for someone. So this week on our podcast, on the Systematic Excellence podcast, we interviewed Renee Rebar, and she is a sales genius. And she just brought all the knowledge about how to improve your sales conversions. We've been doing a series of the business hierarchy of needs. We talked about prospect attraction. We talked about lifestyle congruence. And this week we talked about converting sales. So you got people coming in, you got all the right people coming in, but now you have to convert them into clients, right? And so the thing we're going to talk about today is budget. So before we do that, I just want to make sure we're live. Make sure we're going here, and give me 1 second. I don't see our faces, so let me just make sure before we get too far into the conversation.
I'd hate to find out.
Sure. Oh, there we are. Okay, we are live. Okay, I guess I had to refresh the page because I was like, something isn't right. We aren't. Okay, let's see. Just make sure. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you are watching live, give us, say hello in the comments. If you have questions, let us know. If you catch the replay, make sure you give us a hashtag replay. So what we're going to talk about is budget. Okay, so when you are, whether you're on whatever side you're on, whether you're looking to hire, so you're going to be someone's client, or you're talking to a client that is possibly going to hire you. Having the budget discussion is so important. And planning and understanding your budget before you engage someone to hire them is important. So knowing how much you can spend, and then as a service provider, understanding what the person or the client who's looking to hire you, understanding what they can afford is so important, because it's really difficult to have even the sales conversation without knowing how much they can spend. If they're, and it doesn't make it a negative situation. It just means that they might not be able to get the full package of whatever it is you are trying to sell, but you can either downsell them or give them partial package, and then, say, okay, well, we'll extend it over, 6 months instead of paying a higher price over a 3-month period, whatever the case may be. But as the person, let's talk about it as the, because I know we've talked about this before, Janine, is like when you're getting ready to hire a project manager, let's talk about it as someone that wants to hire a project manager. So you're getting ready for a launch, or, whatever the case may be, you're trying to take into consideration, like, okay, I need all these people. I want to hire a project manager. But you have to consider, what is your budget for that? What is your budget for the project? How much can you spend on the project manager, on the person doing the ads, the copywriting, the design? How much can you spend in advertising in general? Like, just knowing all of that before you even step in to start to interview people is so important. One of the first questions we ask in that process is, what's your budget? Because if I don't know your budget, or we don't know your budget, it makes it difficult for us to tell you what we can do for you. And I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to say, if you're the client, it's like, how much money you have, and you should, not everybody knows all their numbers. So maybe I shouldn't make any assumptions, but you should have, it's on you to know what you can. It's not a creepy question. I know it has to do with like business, your maturity as a professional in running a business, right? It's like, it's a very unemotional, straightforward topic, the more comfortable you get with it. It's
Right.
awkward
But it's
and
so
back and
important.
forthy at the new level. Yeah, but it's like really, if you're as the client, you need to know what your budget is, and then and knowing your budget doesn't just mean how much money do you have to spend, but it's a whole calculation based on the return you're expecting to get from the thing you're spending your money on. I mean, that's for every business decision you make. You're spending money for a reason. Whether you're buying a stapler or hiring a service provider, it's that thing that you're spending money on is doing something to forward your business. And so you should know what your expectation is of your ROI within what time frame. And so now you're just looking for who is the person that is going to provide the best within your budget of what it is that you're looking for. And there are providers that are very low end. There's the whole spectrum, right? There's no upper limit to how much money people will take to provide a service. But if they give you the ROI, it's fine.
And it also,
and you can get super high quality for lower too. But either way, you need to know what your budget is when you're starting.
Yeah. And it makes the hiring process easier, right? Like it makes it easier. If you know what your number is, like, okay, my total budget for this launch is X amount. I can spend X amount on a project manager. I can spend X amount on this. Then it makes your hiring process so much easier because you know what it fits. Look, this is how much I can spend. This is what I need. And then the person that you're interviewing can either say, okay, here's what I can give you for that price, or it's not a good fit, or it's a perfect fit, and here's what I can do. But it allows that whole process to be a lot easier. And then as the service provider who's having the sales conversation with this client, if you don't ask, I mean, you're almost, setting yourself up for failure by not asking that question on that very first call. What's your budget? If the person doesn't know, I will not force in a bad way, but I will sort of force them to tell me. So, and I'll say, I mean, is your budget $20,000, or is it $50,000 or is it $10? Like, I need to know something, a range, so I can, so I can give you of what service I can provide you for the amount that you have available. Or maybe it's not a good fit and I'll refer you to someone else. Either way, it doesn't matter, but I still need that number so I can work off of it.
Yeah, and some people don't want to be the first one to say a number just from like a negotiating play, right? But
that's why I always say something kind of extreme, like
right. But I have to say, it's like the conversations we have actually talked about client attraction and attracting the right people to you in the first place, but still it can be used as a screening, because someone who just straight out doesn't know what their budget is not really the kind of client we're looking for in the first place. It's like, so for us anyway, right? We want people who are we like people who are a little more clear and direct and to the point and results oriented like we are. And it's like, here's what we have to work with, here's the goal, let's make it happen. But especially for project managers, it's literally their job to keep the project within budget. So we need to know what that is, right?
Yeah.
In order to get to the end point of what you're looking for.
Yeah. And like we had mentioned in one of our previous episodes is hiring that project manager when you're in the planning mode for whatever your launch is. So hire them before that so they can help you with the planning, with the finding the people, even setting the budget up, whatever that is. Hire them before you start planning, because they can do a lot of that and support you in it. But you still need to know what your budget is. Okay, I know that I can afford $5,000 a month for this service, or I can afford $1,000 or $500, whatever the case may be. That service provider then can say, okay, here's the full package with the price you gave me, I can give you this much. And that allows you as a person who's hiring to decide, okay, is that going to work for you, or do you need to find someone else? And it just is, the negotiation will go a lot better if you come to the table with a number, and it'll be less awkward, and it's less, I mean, you have to talk about money in sales. You have to have the conversation. So if you come ready with a number in your head of like what you think it would be, regardless if it's, not right or whatever, like coming with a number helps lead the conversation, it helps it make it smoother when you're, and then you can still negotiate, you can still kind of go back and forth. It's still available because you can always say that you don't like the price or whatever, but coming with a number and knowing your numbers, I think is so important when you're looking to hire. And as a service provider, asking that question as early into the conversation as possible to really draw the line. Because if you figure out on that first 15-20 minute call that they're just not going to be a good fit, there's no point in you can refer them right away, like, hey, look, it's not going to be a good fit, let's get you set up with someone else at that point.
Yeah, and people are generally thankful for that. We've talked about that in the past. I had two things that came to mind. Don't hang on to it's like, don't chase the person you're not the right fit for. But two things that came to mind. So like I was saying, like the when you spend money, you expect a return on it. It's like we've come across in the past. It's like if you've had a bad experience and you're looking for a new, say, project manager, or you've never hired one before, it's a new way of thinking, because it's not a direct deliverable in terms of, the designers making these they're not producing an asset for you. It's a service that they're providing. It's like, but there is still a return on the investment for your time. We have the time management calculator, right? Or time value calculator we created. It's on our website, where you can literally calculate how much your time is worth. Because what is the project manager doing for you? They're giving you your time back to manage that project. So you can actually do a calculation on what is your return on hiring this person to run this project versus you doing it yourself, or in a comparison if you're interviewing different providers and getting the different offers that they have to provide the service they want.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with, if you come in with a low number, the service provider can tell you, listen, I can't do that project or what you're asking for that price, but I can do it for this. And then you can decide if that works for you. You can decide if you're willing to make that sacrifice or that choice. There's nothing wrong with having the negotiation, but as the person looking to hire, I feel like it is important, and it is your responsibility to know your numbers when you come to the table for a negotiation. Like, no negotiation can happen if you don't even know what you can spend. Like, it just, the conversation ends. I mean, at that point, and I tell people, it's not to be, it's not to like push people away, but I can't help you if I don't know how much you can spend. I can't even tell you. Like, I mean, I can tell you my number, but if you tell me what you can spend, then I can work with that. I can either work with it, or I can tell you it's not a good fit, and it allows us to have that sort of back and forth. You mentioned the calculator. We'll put the link to that in the comments so you can check it out. So you put it in, you figure out what your time is worth, and then looking at that, then think about how many hours you spend doing this job that you're going to hire someone for, and calculate it. And how much do you charge an hour? If you charge $100 and you're spending 10 hours doing something you're going to hire someone for, you could save yourself a lot of money if you hire someone and you only pay them $50 an hour. You know what I mean? Like, it just depends on the situation. But yeah, I think it's really important on both sides. One, for the service provider to ask for budget in the very beginning of the conversation, and also for the person looking to hire to know what their budget is, for sure.
Yeah. I just wanted to add one more thing around not just knowing your budget, but knowing what you want. Mm-hmm. Literally, it's like Amelie and I have both started out in providing marketing services, and then our own agencies, and now I'm grown into this where we serve digital marketing agencies. But literally the difference between knowing what you want or knowing what you don't want. As a copywriter, I would have people come, oh, I want copy for this thing. It's like, okay, well, what's your offer? I'm not sure what my offer is, and so there becomes this long back and forth that for me, it's like helping you figure out what you want me to write copy for was not the service I provided. It's like, I expect you to know what you want the copy for. And then so you can have frustration where it's like, okay, I can help you with it, but it's going to cost you because this is my business and this is my time and my brain that you're using. And from the other side of it, if it's not, that concept isn't presented to them properly as a service of helping them figure that out, then they're frustrated because now their cost is growing, but their cost is growing because they didn't know what they wanted in the first place, right? And that's where things like we did strategy calls as a part of our digital marketing agencies, and we do that now as well with businesses, where it's like, okay, it's like, what are you saving on them? This is for one strategy call can save you tens of thousands of dollars of frustration and back and forth and revisions and everything else as a massive project derails. It's like, it can really make a difference for you. So that's really, how I would suggest looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So I put the link, looks like I might have put it twice. I did put the link to the full episode. I'll have to delete this because I think
it's one of those crazy Facebook links.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. So that should be both of them were. Sorry. Let me do this again. Anyway, so the link, I'm going to put the link in the comments to our podcast episode. I highly, highly recommend listening to it. Renee Rebar is a sales genius. She goes through her process, how to improve your sales conversions. And so I'll put the link to that. We'll also put the link to the calculator so you can go in, figure out what your time is worth, and then allow you to kind of prioritize and figure out what tasks like you're spending a lot of time on that just aren't worth your time to do. And you could hire someone for a lot less to do it, or, someone that could maybe, even if they cost more to, not necessarily more, but let's say the hourly rate is higher than what you really want, but they get it done faster than you do. That's also another thing to think about. So we'll put the link to that as well. I think it kind of sums up what we want to do. You think about what your budget is, understand what you're looking for, what kind of support you want. And then as a service provider, ask a lot of questions, ask what their budget is early on. And if they don't know, kind of push them to give you an answer and let them know that you want to be able to support them and figure out what's best for them, but without knowing a number, it makes it difficult to do that.
Mm-hmm. Just tell them why. Sometimes they need a little perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So did you have anything else that you wanted to add, Janine?
Nope, that's all I got for today.
Okay, awesome. So make sure you check out the podcast episode. We'll be back here next Friday, continuing our business of hierarchy our series. And if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments. Give us a #replay if you watch the replay, and we will see you next week. All right?
Have a great
weekend. Bye.